children of the night. What music they make.
They're all gonna laugh at you!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What's that?
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash you open.
Welcome to a special episode of Final Guys. Hunter, what do we got for tonight?
Now, when you say special episode, I always think of like Blossom from like the 90s. She had a lot of very special episodes.
The different strokes.
This is special. This is, we actually have the creators of the movie ICU that we recently reviewed. So we have with us today the producer, the pride of Chagrin Falls, the hometown of Bill Watterson, for you Calvin and Hobbes fans, Matt Waldeck, and the director of ICU, the Werewolf of London, I'll call him. Why not? Adam Randall.
Hey,
welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks.
Yeah, it's funny. When I was looking you up and I saw Chagrin Falls, I said, "Oh, Calvin and Hobbes."
Yeah, of course.
And then I thought of Tim Conway. Those are like the two Chagrin Falls people that I know.
Yeah, not far. Shaker Heights, Paul Newman, not too far away either.
Oh,
wow. All right, that's a hotbed.
It's a big one. And then the Russo brothers, Cleveland.
Oh, I'm rewatching Community right now, and it's funny seeing their fingerprints all over it going, these guys made Avengers. My God.
Are you actually in Cleveland?
Yeah, I'm in Cleveland.
Okay.
I'm in a suburb. Actually, I'm about 4 minutes from where we filmed ICU, actually. It's where I live.
Okay. I haven't been to Cleveland in probably 12 or 13 years. The last time I was there, my car broke down on the highway in construction, and I had to push it a mile on the highway to a ramp. And everyone, I swear to God, everyone in Ohio was yelling at me and giving me the finger the whole time. I was like, God damn Cleveland, I can't wait to get out of here.
I think I saw you. I remember that, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't help that I was probably wearing a Steelers shirt. So
yeah, pushing a car is easy for him. He's the size of a gorilla, so it's fine.
and Adam, you're in LA?
I'm in LA. Yeah, I moved here for actually I moved to LA to first of all for ICU, and lived in Cleveland for a couple of months, and then moved back to London, and then I moved back out here for a film that we're like 2/3 through. We shot New Orleans, and then we were on the plane back to LA to finish the shoot, and then all of this madness happened. So we're just waiting now.
That's brutal.
Well, I'll tell you what, quick background. We review movies every week on this show, and we watch everything we watch runs from great movies to some real schlock. And one day Jason comes along and he mentions ICU, and I was like, oh, I have that one bookmarked, but I haven't gotten around to watching it. And he's like, I really liked it a lot. So he reviewed it. So then I watched it, and we said we should just make that our featured movie. And then Hunter and I both watched it, and both of us were like, wow. Where did this movie come from? Because there's so many movies that you see trailers all the time and you hear about, and this guy just kind of popped up on the Amazon thumbnails, and all of us are like, this is one of the best movies of the year. So to get you guys on and talk about it, we are very excited about this.
Yeah, it was a little more elevated than what we're used to, also, which was great.
We just watched Veronica, so we run the gamut.
Yeah, it's number one in mystery thrillers, horror, and drama right now on Amazon Prime. So,
wow,
really?
Yeah, and we were number one most popular movie as well until 2 days ago when John Rambo finally ran us down. So
really, Rambo?
Yeah, Rambo. Yeah,
Rambo took us down. Yeah,
I watched that. It's got no business running you down.
Is the popularity because of word of mouth, or are you guys running like ad campaigns?
we're not. There's no camp. I mean, actually, the film I think is fairly difficult to market anyway, because you obviously, it's kind of twist based, and you can't really even give away what happens 40 minutes into the film. So it was always a problem. But actually, unfortunately, there was very little, or there was no publicity at all. Like, it just kind of landed, the film in the US. There seems to be more in other places, but so we've been completely relying on word of mouth, which is why it's so great with you guys, seeing it and talking so positively about it. Really, that's what it's all been about. So it doing well on Prime, I think, it's been a surprise to us. We're so proud of the film, but it just kind of landed, and we just hope people would see it.
And that's typically the movies that when we look back every year, we go, what movies really got us? It's always those surprises that we didn't see coming. And this was absolutely one of them. And I think it helped because I'd say if Blumhouse had this movie and they were promoting it, they would have showed every twist and turn in the coming attraction. So that worked for you doing it the way you guys did it.
Yeah, I mean, that was all super deliberate. I mean, even to negotiating the contracts for, Libe and Owen Teague, they were, really on board with us. We negotiate the advertising tie-ins on the poster art. They were cool enough to, not ask to have their names, to be put on the posters with the other actors, in effort to kind of keep the reveal from coming. So it was all. We tried as best we could, to keep a lid on things, which, like Adam alluded to, it sort of hurts us in some ways, but, we thought it was important for the audience.
Yeah, well, listen, we appreciate it because so many movie trailers we watch give away the whole movie, and we understand from a marketing perspective that you gotta do that to pique people's interest, but. When they're showing like the last shot of the movie in a trailer and you just want to, jump off a bridge. And with you guys, man, one of the things we all loved about this movie was it just kept hitting you right, left, right. Like you thought one thing was happening. You thought, I'll speak for all of us. You're going, is this supernatural? Is this supernatural?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on here? And by the way, everybody, this is a spoiler episode. So if you haven't seen the movie, we're going to get into spoilers.
You'll be really pissed off if you haven't seen the movie and you listen to this first.
Go watch the movie.
We'll try to skirt it as much as humanly possible.
But then there are several. You talk about 40 minutes into this movie. There's at least 3 or 4 parts of this movie where you think something is happening, and then you guys pull the rug out and change the direction, and you keep this guy's the bad guy. No, wait, what is this is happening? No, that. And this happens all the way till the end of the movie. What a fun ride!
Yeah, I mean, credit for Devon Gray really in terms of that. I mean, the structure and all the reveals are, almost exactly what they were in the script.
Mm.
So that sort of turn halfway through where you think it's a supernatural horror film and then suddenly you're in a kind of found footage thriller.
Yeah,
that was on page, and I found it as shocking as hopefully people do when they see the film.
I was rewatching parts of it today, and I did not remember this, but you had a lot of, I'm guessing it was drone shots at the beginning. And that was really adding to the supernatural feel for me going back and watching it again. And I was like, damn, no wonder. I was like, what in the hell is going on as I was watching this? Just, I really liked the style of the beginning. And then not just when the plot twist happens, but the filming style happened too. That was one of my favorite parts of any movie I've seen this year, because I really liked what you guys were doing with the kind of thriller aesthetic. I don't know what you want to call it, but then when it changes to the found footage format, I was like, what in God's name is going on in this movie?
Yeah. Right. And I always, I was really happy that the found footage section is like 10 minutes or 8 minutes. And then we're back to, and it is a slightly different style. There's like a third style, which is, more it's the film world again, but it's slightly more handheld. It's slightly looser than the first 40 minutes, which, everything is very deliberate. And a part of that first 40 minutes is really, it's to create that sense of the supernatural and that eeriness, which is just through watching decades of films. Everybody knows, whether subconsciously or consciously, that you have a camera slowly creeping down a corridor, a very steady camera slowly going down with some sort of weird soundscape underneath, that it's alluding to something that we've all seen in horror films. So there's sort of shortcuts to trying to persuade the audience that what they're watching is supernatural, when actually what they're watching is a camera move,
Right. I think what got me first, I'm seeing, okay, it's a Helen Hunt movie. So I've never seen Helen Hunt in anything even horror adjacent in my life. So, and then you've got that camera winding through the woods as that boy is riding his bike. And then boom, you get that slow motion shot where he just flies off the bike. And immediately I was like, what am I in for here? So you just like pulled the rug out from any expectations I had, which is good because Jason and I, we overanalyze movies. We write, so we kind of know how the sausage is made. And you guys came with a totally different recipe, which was really cool. I think that's why it resonates with viewers.
Yeah. And, I think in your previous pod when you were reviewing, you were sort of alluding to sort of the trajectory of the Justin Witter sort of coming off of the bike, which was something that we certainly were aware of, and we even talked to our VFX company, and we tried it at sort of a more sort of a more realistic sort of just sort of more horizontal trajectory as opposed to a 45, and Adam, I think we just sort of agreed that it didn't really have the same kind of pop.
Well, we did. We shot some with a lesser trajectory, and then VFX. That one is slightly moved down. I think originally the shot it flies up even further. I mean, it is like, a cheat, frankly, but I think it's a cheat we get away with. And we stripped out a lot of the more overt kind of horror film elements that were in the script. There were a lot of the kind of bangs and crashes that really helped sell the horror element. But we pulled some of that out, so we needed something very sort of big and overt at the beginning of the film to really help sell that. Yeah. So I think that was the thinking behind it.
And we needed a trailer moment as well, since we can't show really much of anything in the last half of the film. We needed something to market the film with.
Smart.
It's funny because this is a great movie to watch twice. Like The Sixth Sense, I watched the movie and I loved it. Then the second time I watched it, I was looking for things, and suddenly I noticed things I didn't notice the first time. And with this, some of those camera angles you're talking about that suggested the supernatural or whatever. The second time, I'm going, oh, now I feel like I'm eavesdropping on somebody. Now somebody is being watched, and there's a lot of little facial expressions and things like that, or things happening in the background. One thing I noticed was throughout the movie, there's a staircase like Modern Family with all the family photos along the staircase. And
right.
As the movie goes by, photos are disappearing.
There's one shot where Connor's looking over the banister, and they've all gone. We don't really make a thing of it. But every single photo is gone. And one of the most fun things in terms of the planning of this film was thinking about how sort of powerful the edit is, really, and how if you keep a shot going for 10 seconds longer, it completely transforms everything you thought about the film, particularly in something like this. So, for example, Jackie, Helen Hunt, will run down the staircase into the basement, and then she finds the body there. And if you started that shot, which we do, start it 10 seconds earlier, you see that there's somebody else in the basement running away, and it's just
right.
Or particularly when he's walking around with his gun halfway through, and he's our hero, and we just linger on the shot a little bit sooner, and you see that there's a dead girl on the floor, and it's just that sort of thing I found was just really fun, using the same shots twice but just starting and stopping them or allowing them to evolve when you want to reveal a little bit more information.
And listen, that's one thing that we kind of said the first time around was you guys have a clearly well-written piece of material there, but the execution on this is tremendous because that just what you were saying is we see it once and then we see it again from a slightly different perspective or a little bit longer shot or whatever, and kind of fills in the gaps. And that's part of the joy of watching this was going back and go like, oh, wow. Well, when like that first cut at 45 minutes or whatever it is, when the guy's playing the record and the other guy comes up behind him, when you cut there, I'm like pulling my hair, like what? And so when you finally circle around to that moment later, it's so great.
Right. I mean, that's my favorite. I think moment in the film is that cut. Just. That we were able just to be so bold, I always wanted it to be, if you're watching it in the cinema, I'd feel like, that the film reel had stopped and someone had put the wrong reel in or something, or you sat on your remote control. Like, it's so sudden, the change. And, I mean, in the script, it was, I think it explained, like, it froze and then it rewound across the film. back to the beginning, then went to black, and then so there was a bit more breathing room. But in the edit, we just found like the abruptness of the cut was either going to be so off-putting to people or so exciting, and in a way, like either one is sort of interesting, you know.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Now I know this was it was a 20-day shoot. Am I
Which is
right?
insane.
But not 20 days in a row. What was there a break or?
It was 20 in a row.
Okay. Well, what are some of the challenges with having a limited amount of time and coming out with something that looks so slick?
Yeah, well, I would say the first challenge was going from 24 days to 20 in the middle of prep. That was the first challenge, which just the way that Adam, as you guys were just talking about, the way that he directed the film, it was like totally unexpected for me, and just in all of our conversations, and before we all kind of jumped in together, just the way that he brought it to life visually, I thought was so cool. As you said, it's a lot of fun. It's a real puzzle of a movie is really what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that he shot that and to do that in 20 days was almost unbelievable to me. So Adam, do you want to talk about the challenges of shooting in 20 days?
I mean, that would be like to write a novel about the challenge. There's a lot of challenges just fitting everything in and having time to do it all.
Yeah.
And there are certain things in which, there's scenes like where Alex on the roof where he drops the mug, and that's supposed to be at 8 o'clock in the morning. And we shot Helen and Sam downstairs 2 weeks earlier at 8 in the morning. And we're shooting Owen doing that moment, and it's 8:45 at night and the sun's going down because we've just run out of time, and we're blasting him with light. We've got 2 takes and it looks nothing like it, and we're praying that in the grade we can fix it. There's a lot of challenges and very sort of tough days of fitting everything in. But in a way, there's certain great things come out of it. It forces you to really look at the script and think like, what is really important here, and what will probably be cut in the edit or possibly be cut. And there was a whole subplot with Connor and his friendship with Justin's sister, and the story of Connor at school. In actual fact, we were going to shoot that up until 2 weeks before the shoot, but we had to lose 5 days worth. And you look at it now and you think, would that have benefited anything? Would that even be and get that?
Right.
I don't know if it would have, because one of the great things about this movie is how lean it is. Because the second time you watch it, I couldn't believe how fast we got to that main cut. I was like, wait a minute, this is moving so quickly. And listen, for me, I've got a short attention span, and I wasn't bored for a second in this movie.
Yeah, it's great.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, because there was, one of the things we worry about, I guess, is because you can't get to know the characters, because all of them need to be potential suspects. You need to be removed from them the first half. So you don't want to know about Jackie's inner life, because I hope at some point you think, well, maybe Jackie's behind all this. Is she like a Jekyll and Hyde? Or is Connor behind all of this? So there's a constant battle between wanting you to care enough about them that you're interested in the film, you're not just switched off, but also not knowing them well enough. So there was that, and I think one of the things that happened because of the 20 days was we had to strip back on some of that, those character scenes, and potentially that's been beneficial in suspecting these characters.
What happens that you lose 20% of your days right before you go to shoot?
It's just money stuff, movie stuff, money stuff, producing stuff. That's just, we didn't have a bond for the film, but we had a monitor from a bond company. So, I mean, I was like, almost gonna get fired, and I mean, it was kind of hairy for a minute there, but yeah, I mean, like Adam said, it's just forces you to innovate, and I mean, just in terms of like logistical elements from the production point of view, I mean, we essentially turned that entire block into our own studio backlot. We didn't have any trailers. The neighbors next door, we had makeup and wardrobe in the neighbors' houses. Any place in the picture house that wasn't a hot set, we turned into green rooms for the actors. We had a false door up at the bottom of the basement so that we could have hair and makeup back there as well. So it was really cool. It was a really amazing experience, actually. I thought, and I think the actors really liked it too, which is a huge part of mine and Adam's job, is to create an atmosphere where everybody can work and do their best.
Did you save money?
Too rushed.
What was that, Adam?
Just to say, you want to protect them from feeling like you're rushing them. I mean, that's always the fear, is that they feel like that they're not actually getting to explore or to do their best work. So you need to sort of protect that. At the same time, the way I wanted to shoot the film, the film was delayed at one point, and it sort of fell apart and then was built back up again. So I've been shortlisting and figuring out, how I wanted it to shoot it and how I wanted it to sort of play for nearly a year before we started. So I really didn't want to lose that, because I felt it was really important. I didn't want to lose an extreme close-up of a light bulb going on, like these little things that felt like they weren't necessarily that important. They really were. So it was trying to hold on to the shooting style while still losing 5 days of the shoot. So there was that balance that we sort of needed to figure out.
So the extended time to get it started may have actually helped you when you had to compress it suddenly?
Well, I don't know if it helped. I mean, it made me more stubborn, probably, because I didn't want to give up on certain things. I'd spent so long thinking about them. You never know. I mean, it always feels like when you do these things that like you make them at the right time, and things fall into place. Had we not have shot it then, maybe we wouldn't have had John Tenney or Owen or Liebe. It might have been slightly different. So, it's impossible to tell.
Matt, did you save money on this shoot by filming it at your own beautiful house on the water?
No. No. So Adam was still in London, and I was in, Greater Cleveland area scouting houses and sending back photos to Adam and, dimensions and everything like that. And that was maybe, what do you think, Adam, like our 8th or 9th house, maybe something like that?
Yeah, I can't remember now. I just remember there was 3 things, wasn't there, that we really wanted. It needed to be massive. I remember the first thing I said to Matt when I first came on board was, we've got to build this house. There's no way we can shoot a location. And then very quickly it became apparent we're not building any houses. We're going to find a location. So we needed it to be big, because even if we made it feel smaller, you need that space to shoot it interestingly. To have 80% of the film in a house, you need to have that space. It needed to be big, open planned, and then we love the idea of it being on the water. It just felt like visually, metaphorically, it was really interesting. It sets it apart from other suburban films, particularly the first 40 minutes. That sort of blue velvet. It gives it its own look and feel. So, and then Matt, sent photos of this one across.
And we kind of injected a story element with it, in that it was sort of Jackie's house, her family money, and so it was sort of emasculating for the Greg character.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that was a nice sort of bonus. But we almost
taxpayer money better not be able to afford that house.
Yeah, but we almost lost the house. The guy who owns it is a bachelor, and then he had given me the house, agreed to give me the house via handshake, and Scarlett Johansson stayed at that house when they shot Avengers in Cleveland.
Oh wow!
And we didn't have nearly as much money as Marvel did and we needed the house. We needed the house for twice as long, but so he gave it to us. But then he got back together with his girlfriend or wife, and then she didn't want us to shoot there because she didn't want any supernatural stuff in the house to happen.
Thinking you're going to bring the bad stuff in forever.
Yes,
you're gone.
So I was like looking into priests to bless it afterwards and all sorts of stuff, and then Adam joked. He's like, "Oh yeah," because I had to show her the script and say, there's nothing supernatural. It's just sort of appears that way. And Adam said, "Oh yeah, it's just the nature of evil and murder, but no ghosts.
Just child murder. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, just like a child."
We'll leave behind these frog masks as a talisman. They'll keep everything away. Matt, I thought of you when I watched this on the second time, because when Jason was talking about the drone shots, because I mean, you have to watch the money. You're the producer, so everything goes through you. And I'm thinking, because I had just watched Larry Cohen's Q, the Winged Serpent. 60% of that movie is him hiring a helicopter to fly all around Manhattan, which must have just burned money like there was no tomorrow. And advances in technology like this that help us talk, but must be a godsend when you're doing a movie and you don't have unlimited Avengers type funds to do things and still make it look stunning.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think Adam used it in a super innovative way. A few critics have commented on it. He's sort of using it as this lurking sort of, kissing cousin of a Steadicam.
Yeah.
Certainly at the end. And yeah, obviously it helps to bring scale. I mean, everything we want to try to establish scale so that, it looks like obviously and feels like we have more resources to work with than we did. We want it to be a good cinematic experience, which Adam was always focusing on, and just in terms of establishing shots and his shot listing and everything like that. So
yeah, I liked it because it wasn't just, hey, it's every overhead shot. It was following people around too, which I thought was really cool. It just feels like someone's always at your back.
Yeah, it was always kind of lurking and creeping.
Right.
Yeah, between that and the fact that every 10 minutes it's changing who I'm rooting for. Like this movie is very disorienting to a viewer in a good way.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Back to Scarlett Johansson for a second. I don't know if you guys saw Saturday Night Live this week. They did the at-home Saturday Night Live, and Colin Jost is dating Scarlett Johansson, and somebody made a crack. They're like, yeah, we're all suffering. Colin Jost is stuck inside with Scarlett Johansson for 2 months.
That poor guy.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Jason. Go ahead.
Well, just on the question about being able to use the tech, I wanted to ask what you guys shot this on, because the movie looks phenomenal.
We shot on Alexa and spherical lenses. We wanted to shoot anamorphic. That was one of the things that we lost. But actually it worked out quite well, the lenses, I think. So yeah, some really nice modern lenses and an Alexa camera. And then the drone, what's interesting about this, which hopefully is useful to people who are making low budget films, is we didn't get like a great film drone company. This was one guy who mainly does sports and does some weddings, never done a film before.
Golf courses, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And, this is one guy. Normally you have at least a couple of people, if not 5 people to do these shots. And you had this one guy who's doing everything himself. So we just stood with him and we were experimenting and trying things, but it was fairly low tech in that way.
Wow.
Well, it worked. I mean, you would have no idea. Like, I've been telling a bunch of people, we call them normies because we watch so much horror shit that, like, if we find a movie like this that not insane people would actually like, that sane people would enjoy. I tell them this all the time, and I've had a couple people be like, I didn't hear about this when it came out in the theater. It's so good. And I think the look of it lends to that. It looks like a big budget film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
You guys have a great cast too. I have to comment. You've got Gregory Allen Williams. Well, as soon as he came on, I was like, "Hey, my man from Baywatch."
Yeah. Bum, bada, bum. He was great. He's a great guy.
That's what I wanted to know. What's it like?
He's incredible.
I was just watching. If you watch Righteous Gemstones, the Danny McBride show.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
He's in that. Yeah, he popped up in that. It was great.
A little cultural appropriation, though. I don't know about that one. He's playing. What is his accent in that show? Would you say, Adam?
God, I'm English. I don't know.
Maybe like, yeah. I don't know about that one. Yeah.
John Tenney does a great job in that movie because he's really got a lot to carry on his shoulders in that movie, and he again, watching him the second time, there were just certain moments where the camera might stick on him for a second, or they're saying something that pertains to him that when you watch it a second time, you're like, oh,
right.
That means
There's
a lot
couple
more.
Of moments in the edit where we really are we giving it away? We're holding a beat on him, or like there's a moment where someone says like, you're never. Oh yeah, the kid says in the flashback, you're never going to find him, and then it cuts to a photo of John and his son, and we're like, is that too obvious? But luckily it hasn't been. I mean, he had a really, really challenging role because not only is he, basically 2 different characters, the one you think he is and the one who he really is, but also we wanted you to suspect sort of everyone in the film apart from him. but also by not suspecting him, you don't want him to be suspicious. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
That was a real challenge to sort of figure that out. And he was just, remarkable, I thought.
I don't know if this is meant as a clue, but in the upstairs hallway, there was at one point there's a shot. I think he was going up the stairs, and there's a framed picture of a man holding it looks like a little boy's hand. And I didn't know if that just happened to be there, but I was like, when you watch it again, you're like, oh.
I think that's John and
Judah.
That's not. I think it's John and Helen.
Oh, that's in the bathroom. In the bathroom, right? It's
is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah,
exactly.
I thought it was in the hallway, but I sort of it looked like an adult hand and a tinier hand. So I'm going,
Well, I think Jason, I was exchanging messages with you. I love the the sort of little Easter eggs that Adam stashed in there, and my favorite one is the green motif that he carried into the third floor. It's the green paint up there, the green knife, the green car at the end.
oh yeah, that's right.
So I like that a lot.
Oh, I have a
You're
question.
the first person who's ever mentioned that.
Me?
I love that you mentioned that. Yeah. No one's ever mentioned that. I love that was a huge thing. Like with the green knife, and just I mean, maybe I'm not saying no one, but no one. I've read a lot of the reviews that came out, and no one ever mentioned that. So
when the kid's eating an apple or something, and when he's hiding upstairs, is he using the green knife?
He's never eating an apple. I don't.
He's
think.
he's eating something. I tried to rewind to see. The two of them are like sitting in the crawl space, and I think he's eating something. I thought like maybe he was holding that. That's why I wanted to ask you guys. I don't usually have an opportunity to be like, did I blink and miss something, or was I just seeing something wrong?
The only time we show him with the green knife is when he puts it in the bar soap.
Okay, all right.
Right, Adam?
Yeah.
I think that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
And those sort of conversations that you're just sort of getting into right there, those were like, we don't cheat you at all, as the viewer. At least that was a conscious and deliberate effort the whole time, because you pull one little thread and you have to track it. There's a ripple effect throughout the entire film, since it's sort of an inverse, version of itself. And so something you change in the second half, you have to make sure that you're tracking it then in the first half, so that you can earn the reveal, obviously. So
I will tell you now, say 5 years from now, you've done maybe 7 more movies, and someone will ask you about this movie and give you their interpretation, as they will do to Jason and I with our books, and they'll say something, and you just go, oh yeah, totally.
Oh,
you go, I have
constantly.
no idea.
Oh, this character that said this. I'm like, dude, I don't even remember that character. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I just always tell them, you got it. That's exactly, you're one of the few people who figured that out.
Well, I hope you're right, because it was a long time getting this one mounted and completed, So
another thing.
Okay, this is another question. Speaking of that, like a long time getting there, how do you go from The Young and the Restless, where Barbara Crampton just announced she's going back, to creating a studio, your own film company, and then this movie?
Well, that's a long question, but but really just starting in the business and not knowing anybody, and being in Cleveland, growing up in Cleveland, not knowing anything about the business or anybody in the business, but just loving film growing up, and sort of just finding it in an organic way, just sort of saying yes to everything in my 20s. And I was able to get myself into school out in LA, and so then I just did whatever I could, and then eventually I took a job with a company called Low Spark Films that has done Take Shelter, My Blind Brother, Kings of Summer. And that guy is actually he's sort of bi-coastal, but he has offices here in Cleveland. So I came back to work for him, and then that sort of got me here. And there's now a really good motion picture tax credit in Ohio. So
That's important.
I can access that, and we can kind of make some more films like I See You, where we have sort of a contained location that we can shoot out in 15 to 20 days with a small cast of characters, and sort of this, $2 to $5 million budget range is the idea anyway. We'll see how,
Tax credits are key. I live in Yonkers, so Lionsgate is building a studio here.
Yeah.
And they're filming every corner of the city.
Yeah. And you're going to see a huge boom as soon as the sort of quarantine and isolation stops, I think it's just going to be impossible to get any sort of studio space.
Yeah.
Now, Adam, in researching to have this conversation, I've discovered that you've got another movie on Netflix with Macy Williams.
Yes.
I Boy.
Yeah, I Boy. Yeah.
Tell us about that, because when I saw that, that's the next thing I'm watching on Netflix. Macy Williams is so great from Game of Thrones and Doctor Who.
Well, I Boy was it was a novel that I was living in London and desperately trying to find a way to direct a feature and been struggling for a long time. And I got this call from a producer based over here called Gail Mutrux. I'd only made some shorts at this point, and she had this book called I Boy, which is like a kind of YA novel. And she saw a couple of my shorts.
Oh, there goes the inevitable technology.
Adam likes,
can you hear me?
Adam likes to walk around, I think, when he's talking usually. So
I'm like that too.
Yeah. I had actually watched iBoy, before when his name was brought to me. And obviously the visual aesthetic that he accomplished in that movie was really, really impressive for, I know, the amount of resources that he had for that. And I knew that the script was really tight by that point. So it was a really quick conversation. And then he and Devin obviously continued to talk more. And then Adam worked extensively. We used that extra time when the financing was sort of dissolving. Adam was, meeting with Helen all the time and talking with the actors. And, so the time definitely was useful. And I agree with Adam, what he said, it's like the film happens when it's ready to happen.
Yeah.
But we were definitely working on it, from summer 2015. And then really like right around St. Patrick's Day, March of 2017, I guess. I don't know, something like that. I think we got like our first piece of financing, and then the following November 2017, we got really the additional financing out of the UK. And then Adam came to Cleveland in February 2018, and we scouted. There was snow on the ground, so it looked totally different. And then, by March we were in prep, and so it was fat. It was really a long haul, and then it was really fast, and then, we needed more money. So in the post-production phase, I was raising money, and, it was crazy raising money to finish the film and trying to make festival deadlines, which we were lucky enough to get into South by Southwest and premiere in their midnight category 2019.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Now, when you're there,
yeah,
is that straight up anxiety and booze and, oh my God, let's just get this over with? Like, what are your emotions when you're there?
Man, I mean, Helen, like you said, she's an Academy Award winner. She's nominated for The Sessions with John Hawkes, which was an amazing film. By the way, Adam, are you back yet or no? Still stuck in the bag of potato chips there.
Yeah.
But,
I've always wondered what it sounded like when somebody ate a cell phone.
Wonder no more.
No, I was nervous as shit at South by Southwest. but I also, because we had Helen coming into town, we had John Tenney coming into town, and then we had to do publicity. So, but we're also doing that all on a budget. So it's like, it's not like we've got, a caravan of black SUVs and a lot of handlers and all that stuff. And, we're like negative money in the bank account. So it's just like, what are we really doing here? But it was amazing. And, Helen did an amazing job on our press day with Adam and John. And, for such a little, it's a small film budget and resource wise that we've just always trying to hit above average on it. And, that's a really important piece of it to try and drive an acquisition, really, because we're trying to, get reviews and get positive buzz around the film on the festival tour, and in hopes that we can, get domestic distribution, because we'd only pre-sold maybe 4 or 5 territories globally in order to, help the financiers to feel secure about investing in the film. So, So we really had to do a lot of work at South by Southwest, but make sure everyone's happy and, my parents were all there, and it was a huge moment. It's our first movie. It's Adam's first U.S. movie, and Helen just immediately brings sort of a different sort of credibility to the project because she's really, really intelligent dramaturgically. Mm-hmm. And as a young producer, working with someone like that, young is good because, she's not going to suffer any bullshit from you. And she's seen every producer trick, every producer, sort of bending truth or whatever you think you have to do in order to appease your star and crew. So she's super savvy and really professional, and for a movie like this, it's about as good as you can get.
Yeah. During that event, did she give you any advice? She
said to smile.
Which I'm sure wasn't easy.
I was like, the whole time I was like, well, what's going on? And she's like, I remember she was like, you've come all this way and you're not going to smile. I was like, I'm a little nervous, but
yeah, it's hard to smile when you're wound up tighter than a drum.
Yeah. And, and she did a nice star flex for us too. Cause, we weren't going to have, like red carpet photo op, and they have like this room sort of off to the side for, we were like in this marginalized category for Midnights, and it was like horrible lighting and horrible background. And she was like, we're not doing this. We're going down onto the red carpet and we're going to have the photo up there. So I was grateful to her for that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Cause I'm just playing by the rules, and she's like, forget that. But she was really good. And she attracted all the rest of the cast as well. They all wanted to work with her, and that allowed us to get our financing. The movie may have never gotten made if she hadn't come on board. She's the first piece of cast that came on board.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Are you back, Adam?
It says,
I'm curious how nervous he must have been showing the movie for the first time. I mean, that's a long time to be working on something.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and then we had to introduce the film too.
Sure.
Adam says can't do it. Internet is fucked. I apologize.
That's all right.
Well,
tell him the country's internet is fucked every day. Like
tell him thank you. It's too bad because he's a really fun guy to talk to. But we appreciate him making the effort.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was. Our US DVD went on sale, I think January 27th. Unfortunately, we have like really great behind the scenes and bonus features and cast and crew interviews.
Ooh.
For whatever reason, our domestic distributor didn't include that in our DVD. But if you buy the UK DVD, that has all the bonus materials, and it has producer director commentary on the.
I would love for this movie to hear that.
Yeah, so Arrow Films, you can get that. I think you can buy it on the internet.
Oh yeah, Arrow.
Yeah. So they're distributing in the UK, and I think their distribution begins in May.
And I think if you go to Diabolic DVD, I think they carry all the Arrow videos too, so you can check that out.
Yeah, so get the whatever region you got to get DVD player or however you got to do it, figure it out.
Notice how Adam made sure it was all good in his hometown.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean it's good too because that we spent resources on that because it's mandatory for me to deliver those materials. So for creating them, we obviously want fans to enjoy it because I think they're really good, and it's such an intricate story too, and it's such discipline was required and used in the story crafting that I think people can really appreciate that.
How did it feel to get your first copy of the physical media? I'm like disappointed, because I always want it to be a little bit, a little more, a little better,
Mm-hmm.
No, but it was cool, and our distributor has been great, just about getting us some physical media and some posters, and so they've been cool about that. But anyway, did I ever answer your South by Southwest? I was very nervous at South by.
Hey, you might have said I was cool. I thought it'd be just fine.
Yeah, but you just never. I'd say we're other than Us that came out of that festival that year. So Us had a sneak preview. Jordan Peele's Us was released theatrically, I think a week later.
Oh.
After its South by sneak.
That little movie.
Yeah, just that little thing. And then Pet Sematary premiered the last day of South by Southwest. But just in terms of user reviews and volume that we're getting, I would say that we're certainly the most popular midnighter that was there. Right. But we still only have like 33 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. We don't even have enough to qualify to be fresh. So it's like we really we're still really trying to get the word out for people to discover it. But yeah, like Adam said, it's been completely organic, word of mouth. I mean, I can hustle on Twitter a little bit here and there, and guys like you who pick it up and can appreciate it for what it is. But
dozens of people will watch it because of us.
Yeah, and tens will watch it because of me.
Hey, on Rotten Tomatoes, it's 74% so far. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, but we knocked our LA Times review out of the park, Hollywood Reporter, and then Daily Variety. So and those all came out right before December 6th when the film had its week-long theatrical run. So
right. That's huge.
Where can I get one of those frog masks?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. So we're trying to merchandise it actually.
I'm telling you can. We've been to a lot of horror conventions. I have masks from Your Next hanging on my wall. So yeah,
people really love it. So the original was actually bought by an investor. We had to sell it to get some money. But I actually just had 3 more made. One for Adam, and spoiler alert for Adam, he's got a mask coming to him, and then. And then my business partner, and then another investor. So currently there's 4 in the universe.
How do you even begin to go about merchandising something like that?
I just called Mondo.
There you go.
Right.
And so trying to hustle that, and then our score has gotten a lot of attention. So he's a first-time composer, a guy named
really
William Arcane out of London.
The first-time score because. It's really good.
Yeah.
First-time composer. Devin's first-time screenwriter. It's my first time as a lead producer.
Jeez.
And then Adam's first U.S. film. He'd done, I think, three other features before this film. So it's a lot of new voices, and I think that's something that's pretty cool as well. But yeah, William Arcane, he crafted a lot of the instruments used in the instrumentation himself. He used something called like a bone flute, which sounds a little pervy, but he's like, I think is like a femur, like the femur bone of a cow or something. And he created this weird, woodwind instrument out of it. And
wow.
Yeah, that was, it's just extraordinary. It's really cool. And it's a little bit polarizing, the score. Some people complain about it on the reviews, but most people really like it.
It's one of those, when I watched the movie, I said, I'd like to write to that. Cause I can't write to music where there's lyrics. So I just need music, and it's usually something creepy.
Yeah.
I was like, I have to seek that out. So is that available anywhere yet? Yeah.
It's another thing that we're working on there too, with hopefully Mondo. We don't know if we'll be able to land a deal with them or not, but there's a few other emails that I've sent out, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, we would like to make it available to fans. And
that'd be cool. I need to add it to the list.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Real quick, you had mentioned another upcoming film, Night Teeth. Anything you could tell us about that?
That's Adam's movie. So he he was filming that in New Orleans, and then I think they got all of their on location, or maybe I think they were doing the soundstage work down there, and then they're going to get the rest of their exteriors in Los Angeles whenever production picks back up. But I don't know too much about it, but there's some press that listeners can track down on that one.
Yeah,
cool
name.
Yeah, I think it's cool. It's cool log line. So I'm sure he'll do an amazing job with it. So he's doing that for Netflix, and I'm sure he'll do an amazing job. And he's gonna do really, really well.
What's next for Zodiac Features?
Yeah, so you can look up. We did an announcement with, I think it was Bloody Disgusting, about the Cleveland Torso murders.
Oh,
you ever heard of those?
I think so. Not.
Yeah. So if you look up, if you can Google our announcement on, I think it was Bloody Disgusting. So it's like the next chapter of Elliot Ness. So it was after he took down, basically, if 3 years after Kevin Costner takes down, Capone and De Niro, he ended up in Cleveland, Ohio, as head of public safety, which back then was a real economic and cultural rival to New York City. And so the Depression hit in 29, and then Ness ends up in Cleveland, and there's this shanty town that's formed called Kingsbury Run, right around the rail yards. And one of the first sort of widely publicized serial killers starts showing up, basically leaving body parts around the city and, taunting Ness and law enforcement. And basically no one was prepared to deal with a sport killer before. He deals with mafia guys or businessmen.
Right.
So they had no idea profiling the serial killer wasn't the term that was created, wouldn't be created for another 50 years, 40 years. So they really had to innovate, and they invented the field of forensic anthropology out of this investigation, modern forensics, and a lot of investigative techniques that we're used to. We've been slurping with, shows like CSI and other procedurals for the last, 20, 30 years. All that stuff was innovated during this investigation.
Wow, that sounds incredible.
Yeah, and so I bought these 3 books by a guy named James Badal. He's sort of like the definitive torso voice. He's a Cleveland guy. And he had contacted the lead investigator on the case's daughter. And the lead investigator in the case wrote this 160-page memoir that's like the only firsthand account of the torso investigation that exists in the world. And so I tracked that down, and I got my hands on that. So we're building out a TV series and companion podcast for that. Nice. Yeah, so hopefully, I think someone's probably going to beat me out on that. It's just because a lot of people have really tried to crack that story, but certainly we've got the definitive intellectual property on the topic, so I think we got a good shot at it.
When I tell my daughter who bought on her own her first pair of serial killer cards at 10,
oh yeah,
she's going to be out of her mind excited.
I can't believe I've never heard of this.
Yeah, so if you look in that Bloody Disgusting article, we have audio of an interrogation actually. It's pretty amazing.
I'm definitely checking that out right after this.
I've already got a tab set up so I can read after this.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. So there's a graphic novel that was done in 2000, and like amazing filmmakers and producers have been attached to try to bring that graphic novel to screen. It's like David Fincher was attached to direct at one point. David Lowery was attached. Most recently, Paul Greengrass was attached. Matt Damon.
Wow.
Different from me, but they're all trying to do features, and we're trying to do a TV series. So we hope to tell that story, and then we're working on another feature called Dead Reckoning, which is a wilderness survival movie, sort of a female-driven wilderness survival movie.
Oh, awesome!
That we're looking to shoot in upstate New York. Probably have to be next spring would be my guess. I don't think things are going to open up probably, or will be ready, at least if they do open up in September or something around.
Yeah, New York State, forget it. We got Mayor Cuomo on a rampage.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately,
you guys will be open about 4 years from now.
Probably.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys got work to do over there, unfortunately, still. So that's what we're working on.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Before we let you go, I got a bit of an insider baseball question that I'm really curious about with indie filmmakers, because
don't ask about aspect ratio.
Oh yeah, that's totally what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
What lens did you use? So people always think, I get this all the time, emails I get from people, because Hunter and I are horror authors. They think if you're an author, you're wealthy. And it's like, no, I'm poor because I'm an author. So I'm assuming
you're an artist. You're an artist.
An artist, exactly.
Like being an indie film has got to be feast or famine the same way. Like if I don't have a book come out for a year, it starts getting lean. Mm-hmm. I mean, if your movie keeps getting pushed back, how do you make ends meet?
Sell plasma. You do.
There we go.
You do what you got to do. I mean, you're the producer. Like, there's no lifeline, So, and as a producer, you're the first sort of salesman. You have to get everybody on board to believe in what you're trying to do, and hopefully you've got a great piece of material like Devin provided for us to work off of. But for me personally, I mean, I'm not an independently wealthy person and didn't come from money or anything like that. And there certainly are people that do have that set up for them, and they're really important to our industry, obviously. But it's not something I ever think about, honestly. It's just, you just have to be total tunnel vision and really just keep plowing ahead every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to I just keep going, it's not something I honestly can ever stop to think about.
Sure.
If we make a good film and we've set up the right sales team around the product, then that should take care of itself. But certainly our first movie, we had to live lean. I mean, that's one of the reasons that I wanted to start the company in Cleveland as well, because we have the luxury of choosing what project we want to pursue, as opposed to if we had a lot of overhead or we had, expensive offices and things like that, you end up maybe doing some projects that you don't want to do, or doing some projects just because it's a good deal. But certainly in terms of what we're looking to do at Zodiac Features, it was important that the first one was sort of a reflection of the aesthetic that we're interested in sharing with audiences. Because that's that's sort of our calling card, and the next one obviously needs to be sort of similar, and so we want to kind of establish some branding there as well, that people can always go to one of our films and they're going to be intelligent, with amazing filmmakers at the helm like Adam, and that they're not going to be cheated out of the during the experience.
Yeah. Hey, the key is, anybody who's an investor in movies, when this is all said and done, I want you to remember the only thing that kept anybody sane was entertainment.
Yeah.
Literally. So remember that and open up the wallets again.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, we were great. I mean, luckily we had a good product, because we definitely had to raise money on the fly. And, when potential investors were viewing the rough cut, they responded to it, and that certainly helped us, because we wanted to pour more resources into it, to help support Adam, and because there's a lot of decisions that you can make to skimp in post, just with VFX, or where we're going to do our color grading or sound house, any of that stuff. And we really wanted to make sure that we could support Adam's vision and sort of work with the materials that he gave us.
Right.
Nice. And just one last thing. How is what's going on now, affecting your day-to-day operations?
It's interesting. I don't really know yet. I have no idea how the movie's doing financially. There's no reporting that's come in yet. So I have like a couple of comps, and I can kind of extract based on review volume, maybe what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But, I guess people pick up my phone calls a little bit, or return my phone calls. Nobody picks up yet, but people still, they at least return them, or I'll get an email back.
Yeah.
Cause we've got a lot of projects that we want to do, and, not enough bandwidth. We want to make sure we're getting this stuff out. So, I would say the day-to-day is just that, we have some credibility now, and obviously a great relationship with Adam and the writer. So that's definitely helpful. And I'm always interested in hearing what he's interested in doing next, and what the writer's interested in doing next. Just because, especially, we're sort of starting our careers at the same time. Adam's more established, but it'd be nice to grow together and find other ways to collaborate. And I think it's important to keep people that you like working with, close, obviously.
Yeah. And you have just under 1,800 reviews on Amazon alone. So
that's killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we're up near 10,000 on Vudu. And we're moving back up the ranks on iTunes too. So yeah, I mean it's
now contrast that with Verotica that we did last week, Glenn Danzig's movie. That's at 81
on Amazon.
On Amazon, so you're in a good place.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I hope so.
Hey, the key is you never want your movie to get on the How Did This Get Made podcast, and I can guarantee you, ICU will never be featured on that show.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of heartbreaking. Like our LA Times review, you know, they led with like, it's a shame it's coming out right now, like Oscar season. You know, why wasn't this in theaters? Like, how did I miss this? It's like totally heartbreaking.
Yeah,
but you know, you can only do so much, and it's not like we had theatrical offers and turned them down. You know.
Yeah. Please no.
Yeah.
Don't do that, sir.
And I was really stubborn and held out. I drafted this 30-page memo about how to market it and why it's good, and people are going to do. You know, it's a can of corn to a distributor. You know, and obviously it's special to Adam and me and Devin and everyone else, but it's business, so they're going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah,
hitting Prime in the middle of quarantine though at least has a lot of people putting eyeballs on it.
Yeah, exactly. I know it's pretty dark and grim, but it's definitely good.
That's okay.
And I think internationally we'll do well. We're in 20 media territories internationally and across like 40 countries. Excellent. And Germany and France and the UK are all pretty excited about it. So I think we'll do a lot of business over there.
It's a solid movie.
Yeah, so the success is well earned.
Yeah, that's cool of you guys. I mean, I'm so glad that you found it. Did you say it was your wife's trainer or something?
My wife is a trainer, and
your wife's a trainer.
Said, "Oh, you should watch this," and I'm like, "All right, whatever." And I put it on that night. I'm like, "Holy shit, man, this was really freaking good."
Yeah, that was the first thing you told us when we met the next time. Like, you guys gotta watch this movie. I was
like, what? Never heard it, because you know we have our pulse on this shit a lot, so we hear about things and see trailers, and I just had no clue, and it was just what a surprise.
And Jason doesn't get excited about movies very often either. Usually
I'm disappointed.
Yeah, I think there's like a fun street cred to it because nobody knows about it, so it's kind of fun to discover it. You know, it has that little element, and I would love for it to be, you know, like a midnight summer movie down the road. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And we're talking a little bit maybe about potential TV series, if we could sort of back into that potentially with the frogging thing, sort of be like sort of like a quantum leap type, you know.
Frogging the whole concept freaks me out.
How had I not heard of frogging before? That was one of those. I'm getting.
There was just moments. A case. It was just this past Saturday. Some mayor in Tennessee. Look it up. A woman was living in his cellar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Woman was living in his cellar. He saw like blood on the doorknob, and he went downstairs, and there was this strange woman living down there.
Do not like. It's like that Gary Busey movie, Hide Her in the House. Remember? And what's worse in your house than Gary Busey hiding in the walls?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but you know, like obviously, a couple people compared us. You know, obviously, grain of salt, but you know, Parasite had that sort of hiding in the house element. You know, and I guess frogging has been. There's been a few other South Korean movies that have had that element in it, but it's very real. Every once in a while, you'll see like a YouTube video, you know, homemade YouTube video of it.
Yeah, I've watched a couple. I'm telling you, this whole concept freaks me out. Like, I'll watch any horror movie, but real stuff, that gets me.
Yeah, and that's what we thought was really cool about what potentially could be cool about the script. You know, was because but that's what Adam did such a good job of nailing that supernatural horror aesthetic.
Once you watch this movie, you'll never pull away without watching your garage door close all the way.
Make sure it's shut.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So
thanks for the paranoia.
Don't really. It's real, and it could happen to you.
That's right. That's what makes it terrifying.
There's nothing to tell your scared teenagers or anything like that, because it's real and could happen.
The teenagers, they're probably the ones doing it.
No, you got to tell teenagers not to do it, or if they do it, don't put it on YouTube.
Yeah, that's when those girls got caught. They went to jail for it, or probation or whatever.
I know every guy my daughters have brought home looks like they could be a frogger.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there were any other questions that you had about you had talked a little bit about the scene in the backyard with Tommy Braun, and when he has that reaction. So that originally was written.
Yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
When Spitsky and then Greg are in the backyard, and then Tommy Braun is painting the figurines. So that ended up sort of getting a truncated a little bit, but that originally was an interior, and that's exactly right. Like Tommy Braun is reacting to seeing Greg, which you would know watching it a second time.
Right. Yeah, because the second time I watched it, I got that.
But the kid's an unreliable narrator, so nobody was going to believe him, right?
The detective, that was such. I love the acting there because he just takes like a little half a step back at the kid's reaction. And when you're first watching, you think he's just surprised, at the kid freaking out. But in watching it the second time, it's like, oh, he thinks he's about to be given up.
Yeah, there were a lot of conversations about, what's his motivation, or why is he just doing this now? We had all sorts of conversations like, oh, maybe the locusts come every 16 years or something, and he wants, what I mean? It's like some primordial thing that he has to do. But so there were all sorts of conversations about that and backstory and things like that. But and then when he's listening to the audio, right, that's of young Tommy Braun and Spitsky. He's interviewing after, because that's him and Alec escaped together, right, in those flashbacks.
Right.
So so it's like, it means you're never going to find him, and then you're right on Greg, which is a really I love that moment. It's just such a fun gotcha moment.
Yeah.
And then when he's just driving with Spitsky's staring at the help find Justin Witter banner, and you just think he's just sort of a rugged cop beat.
Yeah.
But really you're saying so much more there, because he's watching the town, sort of go hysterical for looking for this kid that he's got locked up in his
That
trip.
is actually a specific moment today when I was watching it that I picked up on.
Yeah, and the other good one was, you can see when Alec is doing the record player gag, you can see him in the cupboard. We didn't cheat that,
Right.
So if you look back, you can see his face outline in the cupboard, and that's when Helen and Connor are talking to each other before school, and you can see Alec's face there in the background.
Oh, so I didn't catch that, and I was looking hard.
Yeah. So there's like no cheats. I mean, the biggest cheat was the kid flying off the bike, and
that's a good cheat though, because that
was explained.
But that also hooks you from the minute you start watching the movie. You're like, what is going on here?
Yeah, that one screwed me up. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, that was originally written as just sort of like a twig snapping, and then the bike's on its side with with the tire spinning. So because Adam and I talked about it, and that sort of opening set piece came about. I actually ran into our stunt coordinator in the airport, so we had a little Hollywood moment in Cleveland airport. And I said, how expensive would it be to like pull a kid off of a bike and send him flying up into the air? And he said, oh, it's a harness pull. It's nothing. So I said, great. What do you think?
Depends on the kid. We'll see how safe we make it.
Yeah. It was just amazing though. Like I like to say, it's like the movie was sort of like small craft bourbon, like took a long time, and just every detail was, it was like an amazing experience for a first film. And having
you're speaking language we understand.
Yeah.
Bourbon.
Yeah, it was just cool and just like getting the whole neighborhood involved. I mean, it was when the Cavs were in the playoffs against the Warriors, I think, at that time, and like they set up a screen and they had like open bar for our crew and stuff, and everybody was just walking around. We'd have the neighbors come on set and put the cans on and watch a few scenes, and like all the actors were so nice and open and giving, and like Tenny would just hang out with people, and it was I don't think I'll have another experience like that. So it was pretty amazing.
That town will never forget you.
No, and I'm good friends. I had to replace the homeowner's floors. He got a new set of new floor out of it, but we're like friends now, and he's a cool guy. So it was good.
Is his girlfriend happy, or she had to have the house blessed?
They're off again now, actually.
Oh, okay.
But they came to South by.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I gave him a shout out. I guess they're off again now.
Well, if you want to use my house, feel free. And if you're going to give me floors, you have the run of the place.
Yeah, thanks. I'll keep it in mind.
Well, hey,
yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. I mean, this has been just fantastic.
Cool.
Getting to pick both your brains. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
all right, guys.
Amazing.
I mean,
Pleasure,
good luck
man.
with everything.
Thanks a lot. We'll see you on Twitter.
All right. Yeah, for sure. Thanks.
Yeah, let us know if you have another project coming up when you get things moving again. After
Yeah.
all this bullshit blows over, let us know.
Sooner or later.
All right, guys. And thanks so much again for supporting us.
Game over, man. Game over.